Welcome to the Under the Hat podcast,
the show where we talk about everything and anything that is top of mind in education.
The goal is to provide meaningful conversations to what is currently happening in our classrooms.
Stories, pains,
moments of success.
We want to hear it all.
Friends, welcome back to Under the Hat. We are here sitting in episode 64. I'm your co-host, Steve Martinez. And as always, I'm joined by
Sophie, your other co-host.
Yay. Okay. So I realize that the title might be weird, but frankly, from what I've heard, there's a lot of weirdness happening in classrooms these days. So the 6-7 thing is super interesting. I'm hearing about it from my candidates that I support at my college. Like they're in the field, right? Working on their credential, but seeing things in real time. But the focus here today is really to have Sophie and I reflect on this calendar year with the pod, with ourselves, right? Like Sophie and I have done a lot of shifting and a lot of growing. But then also like 2026, 2027, where do we want the pod in a few years, right? Where do we want to be personally? And having anybody that's listening, watching, contribute here in the live chat, or like if you're listening to this in the car, feel free to do a comment like on the Spotify, wherever it is you're catching that podcast. So Sophie, let's start with you. Like there's been quite the year, right? As we're closing down the year and closing down this pod.
The end of the year and the start of the year for me definitely looks completely different, but in all of the absolute good reasons. Like it's so good. So at the beginning of this year, I was stressed out. I was borderline burnout. It was a lot. I had a lot. It was a lot. Now I am, and then like in April, I started my doctoral program. I was searching for something. I wanted to fill something. I was doing a lot of searching and contemplating and like, what is next? And I feel like I had outgrown what I had currently had been doing. And I was sort of trying to figure that out. And then I was sort of forced to figure it out. My role became redundant. I was let go, and with a lot of other people that is in the ed tech space right now. A lot of other people were let go, not just at the company that we used to work at together. So it's been definitely an interesting time, a new adventure for me, because I've never been in this situation before. I've always I went into education, and every year I always had a job. And then applying for a job in the education world is completely different than applying for a job in the corporate world. So it's been a learning curve. It's been a lot of self-reflection, a lot of figuring out what my mission is, and I'm still doing my doctoral work. I've started writing a book. I have figured out my true mission and vision. I've started pursuing that. And I just, there's been a lot of growth, learning, love. There's been a lot of heartbreak as well, but through that has been a lot of self-discovery and learning. And I'm definitely a better person and in a better place now, and looking forward to 2026 more than I ever have before.
Yeah. I love that you mentioned like the outgrowing part of that. Right. Like I felt that when I, left the classroom originally to go do CAMI, because I felt like in many ways I did outgrow the classroom in terms of it. And you know this about me, Sophie, but like in some ways I wasn't ready to go, but then in other ways, like I was like, ooh, I could have larger impact. Right.
Yes.
But then like me going back into public ed and now more like in a leadership type role, like there's a lot of things you learn about the business. Like when we had the business of you folks on, right? Like we had
Mm-hmm.
talked about that, but like the, if you were to go back from business to education, you are you're a bit of a gem. And that's like they don't get that insight. They don't think or run things like a business, but the two spaces can complement each other if they like learn and speak with one another, right? More.
Mm-hmm.
Uh and so like that to me is like this whole concept of like we're lifelong learners. We are going to move and do different things. We live in a world where that's more obtainable.
Yeah.
But it is like, yeah, like you do outgrow different things in different spaces. Um,
Just sometimes the box you're put into, um, sort of like turtles and sharks, right? Like you put them in an environment and they will stop growing at a certain point, but you put them in a different environment and they're going to continue growing and growing. Um, because they don't want to outgrow their space. But us as humans, we don't do that. So like, we just keep growing until we start busting out of the box, and like we have to go find someplace else. And it's interesting, and it can be painful to realize that that space is no longer your space because
mm,
it was comforting at one point. And it can be invigorating to realize that you're like, oh my gosh, I could do more. I can do different. I can do something that aligns better. Um,
yeah, we have ed tech ears dropping in. Like so, Mantha, who also worked at our company, who moved on and is doing some really cool stuff from business back to education. I feel like I've activated stealth leadership mode, if that makes sense. Um, I had so Sophie, I've not shared this with you, but like last night I ran my first all hands is not the right word. It's like department meeting with the instructors that teach in my program, right? Um, and in the middle of it, it went really well. I was nervous about it because it was the first time that like I came in as a coordinator. Like I've met individuals, but the first time that as a collective we were all together. And I was nervous about it because it was my first time like leading in this way. Um, and in the middle of it, I was like, this is going well because of the modeling of leadership that I saw in my former company. So going back to that, right, of like learning um, different manager folks at Cami, seeing that Cami was a place where I got to know our CEO quite well. Like he was instrumental in in that, and even like on our team, Sophie, like seeing you lead that team, Margie leading that team, right, and more like grassroots kind of things. But that was still like a lot of leadership type of stuff, and I do think that you can flex a little bit easier if you've been on the ed tech space from a leadership perspective, because it's still leadership, even though you're not technically a leader at your company, you're still leading folks out.
yes, there's a difference between being a manager and being a leader.
Mm,
And some people can be a leader. And I think that might be sort of what Ed Tech Years is mentioning. Like you can be a leader and not be in a position of authority. And that's the majority of my life, actually. I'm not in a position of authority, but I'm still leading and guiding and helping and mentoring, like on the side, unofficially. And that's yeah. And then so Steve, you mentioned like what you saw helped you. Like this is going well because of what you saw, but I think also not just because you saw the good things that you wanted to emulate and copy, but you also saw, because we're human beings, we've also had managers, leaders do awful things that we don't want to ever emulate. And there actually was a recent discovery for me where I was like, oh my goodness, I actually helped cause this unsafe space. And I didn't realize that that was something that I was doing.
Mm.
For people who didn't know me well enough. So, like, for you, Steve, I probably never created an unsafe space. For the people that I was really close to who understood my brain and understood my meaning behind things, you just didn't think twice about it and, like, not a big deal. Called me out when I'm being passive aggressive or just aggressive with you when it comes to you, Steve. But there are other people that don't know me as well. And when I jump straight to the questions and the solution I see in my head, that can create friction. And
Mm.
when I was like, I'm not, I kept saying, like, I'm not being that way. I'm not being that way. But no, I was. And I was creating a space that was toxic. I was contributing to the space that was toxic. There was more than one action and behavior that can cause a toxic environment. And I was definitely, there was a lot of guilt because that wasn't what I wanted to do. That wasn't what I was meaning to do. And there was a lot of growth. And then my therapist is like, so what are you going to do about it? And I've already changed. Like, I've already changed the way I send text messages, except to you, Steve. That doesn't matter. I've
I can say
already
the same. I welcome that. Yes.
I've already changed the way that I reach out to people. I've already changed the way that I start a conversation, or even come in after they have said hi, and they've started a conversation. I've already am learning from my mistakes that I didn't realize I was doing. And that's something that not a lot of people can say, that you've realized you were wrong and you're doing
Mm.
something about it.
That is true that, like, you do have to, yeah, you have to communicate when you're in education. Like, there's the PLC collaboration piece, right? There is working with counselors, parents, right? But something about being in a company, that's a whole different vibe. And things can blow up in your face easier. Like, do you think that's a fair statement? Like, I just think that,
It
like,
depends on the stakeholder, because
mm,
parents can be extremely volatile. If you cross the wrong parent, you could be extremely volatile. I had one parent. I remember the child. She was in my 10th period class, and she was struggling. And the parent came up to me at a giant flea market and just, like, got in my personal space. And I was like, so, like, communicating with a parent like that, it can blow up in your face. And then it also, I think it depends on the size. So, like, in a close knit, small company, it could affect more people than it could be if it was in a big giant corporate Google and you don't even know everybody's name, type of thing.
oh,
So I
yeah,
think it depends on the environment and how close everybody is and how much the communication is happening.
that is okay. Let's talk about that for a second, because at Cami, at least in the earlier days, more of like when, like, Sophie, you had gotten hired like a few months before maybe
Yeah,
yeah. So we were kind of like that earlier crew on that team, but it was very close knit. And
very
then
close knit.
they hired more and grew, and towards the like more recently acquired a different company. Like, there's all of that, but like the role I'm in now, like the scope and size is like something I'm not used to. So in the sense of, like, my college is fairly decent size, right? But the college itself is under the umbrella of the whole county office of ed. And yesterday they did like a winter wonderland kind of celebration thing where, like, the whole county office, like, everyone turned up, and it was several, like, their big building that they have, like so they had to have several rooms to host that amount of people, and I was like, oh, we all just crawled out of our corners, and we're all like,
And
you
like
don't.
showed up.
I was like, wait, there's a lot of people that work here. It's not just my own department, my own college, but we don't see each other because like the college itself does a very different thing than like Code Stack, and does a very different thing than like our literacy folks supporting the county, right? Like, in that way, do I need to like communicate with everyone all the time? No, I just need like really it's the day to day of even just my own department and my own college. But yeah, so one thing that you mentioned too, Sophie, earlier, was kind of like reframing perhaps your mission and vision.
Yeah. So I'm on a journey of finding a new role, right? A new job. And so as I was applying, and at first I was just sort of like, oh, I'm qualified. Here's an application. And it was just sort of like spraying and praying, seeing what sticks. Excuse me. And I can do that. I am capable. I am qualified. Here's my application. And then I started looking into more of what those companies did. There was one role that I applied to, and I got a phone call screening with it. And then the holidays happened. So like, I don't know what's going on with it, but it was, so I was a math and science teacher, just a little context here. I was a math, science, and technology teacher. And then I was a coach. And then I went into CAMI, and I was one of the original 6 business development representatives. So I got a little bit of training, sales, and not as much sales. That makes my skin crawl, but I did turn into a salesperson. I did. But it was easy to sell because I believed in the product. I believed in what it could do for the classroom. I wasn't selling it just because I could sell. I was selling it because I believed in what it could do for students' learning and their learning environment. So I just got contacts, and then I got this phone screening for a grain organization. Grain, as in the food, as in the growing and agriculture.
It's oddly
and I was
specific.
like, what did I do?
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know anything about the grain industry. I mean, I know like adjacent. I've always been like ag adjacent growing up in West Virginia. There's a lot of farms. There's a lot of family farms. There's a lot of like big industrial like chicken farms and cattle farms and Christmas tree farms. I Samantha. I do, but it's one of those things where like I'm not passionate about it, you know? So that's when I started really analyzing, like, what am I passionate about? What am I, do I want people who are producing the food that we eat every single day to be safe? Yes. So I did. I had to like, okay, so if I'm going to actually pursue this, not only would it be a fantastic test of my abilities to be an instructional designer, which I am, but it was like I had to like figure out where the passion was going to be. And the passion would have been the people who are helping to process our food need to learn how to do that safely so they too can go home and enjoy their families. And so then that was like an eye-opening moment that I didn't want to have to find the passion for the company that I was working for. I wanted to already have the passion for the company that I'm going to work for. Yes, Fonz, you're totally right. Are the skills that teachers have, the skills that we have developed, and then the skills that I have learned while being in ed tech can and do transfer well anywhere. You just have to use the right words to explain them. So if you're talking, I just have been using a lot of AI and like helping me rewrite what I can do in a language that is corporate understood. Like stakeholders in school systems mean a different thing than stakeholders in corporate world.
Mm.
But it's still a good word to use in both locations. The language that I've been using a lot of AI to help me with the correct language to translate what I am capable of into corporate lingo. And sometimes it feels like I'm lying. Like, no, I can't do that. But it's the same thing. And sometimes Gemini is like, yes, you can. You did. And it lists off everything that I did at Cami from the ground up. And it's like, you did that. You can do this. And I'm like, oh, okay. Okay, you're right. I did. So I've been creating, and I've been exploring new things too. I've been creating gyms to help me practice coaching cycles. I've been creating gyms to help me identify if a job actually aligns with my mission, vision, and goals. I've been building and learning new skills. I've been learning more about, I already knew about adult learning theory, but I've been learning more about it. I've been learning more about me. And it's been really cool to see how this time in my life that could be completely devastating has actually been really enlightening.
Yeah. So you had mentioned how you're using AI, right?
Yes.
To help with
All the time.
a lot of this, or some of this perhaps. But do you think, because just for context for those that are listening, about me is Sophie and I had a similar journey of I knew that I needed to go to a different place while I was at Cami. I can openly say that now. What I was more fortunate in the sense that I was doing that search, and Sophie knew. Not everyone knew there, obviously, but Sophie knew that I was trying to figure that out. I had the luxury though of being employed there, right, and doing that. So
yeah, your transfer was after you already had your transfer from ed tech back into education into where you are now was sort of already lined up before you left Cami. Yeah.
So just that context is important with what I'm about to get into. But since I don't go to LinkedIn now being ooh, what's there, or what, I'm not looking for, I'm not on EdJoin looking for jobs. I'm on EdJoin hiring people right now. So it's kind of a different thing. But do you think, with where you are right now, because I think you're a good person to ask, is AI making it easier to find jobs and to get jobs? Is that, or do you think is it, to what degree is it a hindrance?
When it comes to using it as a tool to help you showcase your skills for what you can actually do and contribute, it is definitely helping me. And it is helping me because each job application, it feels like, is a task in itself, because you need to tailor your resume and cover letter to that role. So because of the ATS system, and I can't remember what it is, but it basically is the system is reviewing your work before it even gets to a human being. It's looking specifically for the words and the qualifications that they are looking for. So it's sort of like the job posters are using AI to screen people out, because they're looking, and it might not be the advanced AI that we have now, but because these systems have been around for a while, they are looking, it's really rudimentary. They're looking for specific words to screen somebody. So you have to break the system or beat the system before you can even get to see a human, or for a human to even look at your resume. So in order for that to happen, I've been using AI. I made AI do the research on ATS for me so that I didn't have to do it. And then I made that a doc and used it in my resume generator so that in my gym, so that it was always ATS optimized, so that I could beat the ATS system to get to a human being. There are a lot of things that I just didn't even think about when I went into this because I never needed to do that before. Going into, in my area anyways, going into education over here is like, are you qualified? Do you have the certifications? Okay, great. You're hired. And there are a few times where I was competing with somebody else, and usually it was just, does this person have more experience in the classroom? Okay, great. They get the job. And it had nothing to do with selling myself, which is what I'm having to do now. So it's a completely different world out there. And then there are so many layoffs, which, why do they lay off at the end of the year, right before the holidays? Like, come on, people have a heart. But there are so many layoffs across the country, across the world right now, where people are it is flooded. The job search place is flooded with people, and not just people who were already in corporate and ed tech trying to find a role, but teachers are like, okay, I've outgrown this space. I'm ready for a new adventure. I'm going to go looking as well. So yeah. But I have been on LinkedIn, lots and lots. There's lots of conversations around using AI to write your cover letter, to write your resume. And there's lots of conversations around, well, you're using AI to judge us, so why can't we use AI to look good? But there is a fine line between letting it create everything for you and using it as a tool to showcase you in the best way. It was a long day, and I was applying for like a lot of jobs, and I went in and I applied for this one job, and I just did not read over my cover letter and resume as closely as I had been on this last one. And because I was like, you've been doing a good job, I won't read over you. That was the time the AI decided to hallucinate. I'm completing the application, and I see some of this stuff that is inside that it auto pulls from my resume and fills into the application. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what did I just turn in? And then I look at it, I'm like, oh, they're not going to care. No, I got an interview for that job. I got an interview for that job. So now I got to figure out how to blend and like make that the truth.
Well, that's just like what happens, right? And so my EdTech life is here. Fonz, thank you so much for being here and listening. Really appreciate you. So he kind of has this comment. Like, so I think using AI can hinder a bit because AI is going up against AI resume readers. I've had more luck just networking. Yeah. So that was kind of like my wonder, right? Was like, it on the one hand, it makes it fair, right? If it's AI against AI. But then like no one's really, you're kind of pushing away the human to human, like the humanity part of like hiring, networking, selling yourself, right? Like I don't know. It's a weird world.
Well, and that right there is something that the experts are saying too. The networking is actually going to be the reason why you get a job, not your application. And I haven't been utilizing the people that I know, which I think was just a little bit of I didn't know I needed to do that. I didn't know, not that I didn't know, but just I didn't think about it. And Steve, on the back here, you said, how did the pod go this year? We talked with a lot of amazing people that I could be talking to right now to see what they're doing and see if they have any connections to get me a job. And it's really interesting, or an adventure. And because I'm in a privileged that I don't need health insurance. My husband has an amazing job, so I could be doing contract work. I could be doing things a little bit more flexible. And so my options are a lot more open than most people. But like, that is something that I'm like, why haven't I been reaching into my community more to see what's going on? Just to have conversations and be like, what did you learn from this experience? And learning from our friends even more. that we've had on the show. We've had some amazing people on the show, some people who I could talk to about their experience going through a doctoral program, Fonz. Some people that I could talk to about their experience writing a book, because both of those things are on my radar right now. And it's not just finding a paycheck. It's more about the journey, the experience, the growth that's along the way that I could be doing more.
Yeah, when you said that, I was like, oh, who have we had on this season? So I went on our website. You're right. Like, this season has been pretty good. It's been pretty stacked. Like,
I've loved our conversations.
We kicked it off with Katie Novak, which we were pumped about.
I was sad I didn't get to. I was too busy. I didn't get to come and talk to her.
Yeah, no, because I was like, I think we that was a pre-record we did like over the summer.
And I was traveling. Yeah.
Lisa Nowakowski, that was another good one. Math, the Edgy Protocol, math rep stuff. John from Snorkel.
All of the ones you're mentioning, I wasn't there.
Adam Sparks, you were at that one.
I was at that one. Yes. John from Snorkel, that one was a really good one. I was sort of there listening on the side because I was having to mom that day. And that was a really good conversation too.
Yeah. Yeah, no. So that's been, yeah, so it's going to be good. We are looking at like having some amazing folks as well as we get into the spring, as we close down this season.
And maybe some great ones coming back to talk about their missions and visions in their next chapter. I'm excited because we have an author that we've had on here before coming back for their new book.
Sophie, I may not have mentioned this to you before. We have 2 of those situations.
Oh yeah?
So yeah, we have another one. So I can say I would have to search. We had some folks that they're writing on project-based learning. They did another PBL book. But yeah, we'll go ahead and
we'll have them
and
too.
have them back. Yeah, they were. I just need to reach out and get it and get it done. Tisha Richmond, she was on Instagram earlier, live listening, commenting. She just dropped a book, a CTE book.
Yes,
which I'm like,
but it's still on her brand because she had like a magical book before, and then she had the dragon book, and now she's doing this magical CTE. And yes, I'm excited to hear about that.
Yeah. So that'll be good. We're having a few. There's be other guests that I'm networking with that are going to come on, provide a lot of value and insight. Super excited for that. We are toying with the idea of like, do we want to stay live, doing the live stream piece of it? We're evaluating that. Numbers fluctuate. Like sometimes they're like people turn up, but that's just the way of things. But I don't know, Sophie, do you like the live piece? I tend to have fun with it when people show up.
When people show up, I really like the live piece. When people aren't, if we're just talking to dead air, it's not as fun. But like having people in the chat talking, that I really enjoy. But if there's not there, then it's not as fun. So I agree, Steve. In short, I'm too long-winded.
Yeah. So as we get into 2026, that was, kind of keep the theme of this episode, 2026. That is where we're headed with things. Sophie and I've been working on stuff on the back end for the show, stuff that we'll announce a bit later. Just leveling up some stuff, I think, right, Sophie? Like kind of just keeping things. There'll be stuff to share.
There'll be stuff to share. March will be madness.
Hmm.
We've got a lot of exciting things happening, a lot of things that we're building in the background. And we're excited to see where some of it will lead us. There are some conversations that we are both trying to get on the show that I'm really excited about sharing these adventures, these like roots initiatives that I'm excited. Like during my time having the time to explore and learn and see what else is out there, it has really been eye-opening to see what is out there and what cool stuff is out there for teachers now.
Yeah. So part of what I was planning on talking about was like, so 2026, we have like, where we're headed with the pod and where we're headed personally, like, but I'm someone that does think ahead to maybe too much, but as we get into like, even like 2027, one thing that I've been reflecting on, so just for like context, for those that don't know, like, so when I left Cami, I didn't go to the role I'm currently in. Like I made very swift transition to the point where Sophie was like, whoa, that was quick. And so like I left to a CTE opportunity, right? So I did have for a very brief time had a CTE program. And then from there, I hopped over to the college. And so part of my reflection was like, okay, I'm here now. I think like, I don't know if I would have gotten my current job if I wouldn't have been at the CTE place, because when I went to that CTE role, I needed a different credential, and the college that I went to go seek, I'm like, hey, is the college I now work at. So like, I don't know. It's because they knew me, and I was technically a student there for a very brief time, and when they had the job interview for my current role, I was like, oh, I probably won't get it, blah, blah, blah. And then, but it's because they knew me, right? So going back to Fonz's point of like networking in whatever context, whatever capacity, right? I don't know if I would have, this job may not even been on my radar if I would have gone like just stayed at Cami. I probably would have been more in tune with what's going on with like ed tech opportunities, maybe. I don't know. And so my big reflection for 2027 has been like, cool, I want to stay in this current role, or at least at the college, for a good little while. Just have this list of things I want to accomplish there, right? Or like for my own program, as well as like, for those that don't know, I look after community engagement for the college as well. So like what kind of partnerships, what kind of networking opportunities I can provide for my college, right? And so just getting the college brand, Teachers College of San Joaquin, get that TCSJ brand in more places and more spaces. So I'm excited about that. Like, so that's like my goal, like by 2027, can just more folks know about my college and all the services that it provides, because it does provide quite a bit. But yeah, so that like the 2027 piece, that's where I'm at with it. Are you
and
thinking
sometimes you have to like think that far for some things in order to start putting the plan in place now, in order for it to be achievable then. In 2027 for me, I will probably be starting like the official writing of my dissertation, because I'm doing a lot of just classes and learning right now. So the whole like dissertation thing might be happening. I gotta get a job first so I can continue paying for it. But
yeah.
But and then that whole thing has pivoted significantly, not just because of I lost a job, but because of my mission and vision is completely different now than it was when I started the program. I thought I was just going to be focusing on like training and how I can improve training. But no, it's more about the organization now. How can an organization, culture, climate, leadership, the system itself be better so that the herd can thrive? Not just the ones.
Yes, and you do a phenomenal job of like building a system, and you you probably, when we worked together, you probably got the vibe that like I didn't care about about the systems. I'll admit at the time I did not really, because like with what I needed, so
Because
I
it
was
didn't
running.
really matter for you specifically, right? Is that
Right,
what you
right, right.
mean?
Like
Yeah, yeah.
I had my own system because I was out like, for a long time I was holding down the West Coast like basically solo. Like I was just doing my thing. But um my current role now, like a lot of what people say is like they're like, Steve, you have an eye of just like the project management piece. And in my head, I'm like, I take no credit for that because a lot of it is like I just emulate a lot of what you did, like what I saw. I'm like, oh, that's how you build a playbook. Cool. And so, but I owe you and a few others a lot of gratitude for that, right? Like it's almost like, and just because you're in a role, this is my message to like those that are listening. Just because you're in a role and the things that you see, even if it doesn't hit you directly, or like maybe like you don't believe in it for this, that, or the other, just like being keenly aware of like how it's constructed, how it's built, and what its purpose is. You may need that information later, and that was 100% my thing over the last few weeks as I'm building different systems, different things for my college, systems that either were like have never existed, or B, they did exist but then they went away for a time, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I just think that where I've grown is like, yeah, there were certain things that I wasn't really into before that I now have just like been like, oh no, that is important. I'm just in a different place professionally where those things do resonate with me now.
Mm-hmm. And that's really interesting because that can go all the way back to learning in school.
Mm.
Why does this matter to me now? Why do I need to learn about Henry VIII? That has nothing to do with me and my life and where I'm going to go. But later, learning about things that happened to him and around him, it could influence your decisions. So it's like, just because what you're learning or what someone is doing doesn't mean it's not worth learning. Because, and I'm saying this as a person who loves to learn for the sake of learning. I'm just like, oh, tell me more, because I'm an inquisitive person and I want to know.
Right.
But even if you don't have that, like Steve, and intrinsic motivation to just learn, because knowing, understanding at least the basics of it can help you out later, because you never know what life is going to throw at you.
Yes, do agree with that. Yeah, and I mean, I think too as well is like learning one thing. Like there's a level of skill and cognitive capacity to learn anything.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of what I used to tell my high school students. Like, why are we learning about this? Blah blah blah. I'm like, well, are you reading? Are you writing? Are you processing? Are you synthesizing? They're like, oh yeah, we do that. I'm like, that's your why. If
Mm-hmm.
you don't care about the content, cool. But like the skills that it takes to do all those things, like, and I'd say that for any professional too. Is like, like, um, I say this to past Steve about all the project management stuff, right? And I did learn a lot just by like, and I was low key involved with stuff, right? And towards the end, I was doing more of that's like, that last round of Q. I think I was heavily involved with that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, I just think that like just the capacity, that being able to tell yourself like if I ever need to do that, I can.
Mm-hmm. That's a
Yeah.
skill that you do have. And you said like you had the conversation with your students in history. I had the same conversation with students in math class. Like, when am I ever going to use this in
Mhm.
life? Why are we using this? And I tried really hard to make sure that the problems we were solving were real world related. But even still, there are some standards that people are like, I never use that in life. But you are using the critical thinking and problem solving skills that you built while learning how to do that. So,
Mm.
yes, and use those critical thinking and problem solving skills, y'all. You did know how to use them once.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're about close to closing it down.
Hmm.
Do we want to do like a
Yeah, Steve,
what's top of mind?
what's top of mind in education for you right now?
Oh, I was hoping that you go first because I need think time. I
I
can
knew
I
it.
can go first though. I can go first.
You were going first.
So for me, I'm seeing a lot of, so it's kind of like twofold, right? Like on the one hand, I'm in front of a lot of candidates that are either already in the profession, like as a like on an emergency credential, like they're trying to get an intern pathway going. So some of them are like, they're aspiring educators, they are already planted at a school site, right? And like supporting them as a leader, but I'm also teaching in my program, right? um, but then on the other hand, I'm also supporting all the instructors that teach in my program at my college, and having a lot of fun doing that. And those are two different subgroups, stakeholders, right? But to me, it it's coming back down to like one commonality, and that is, how do we best model instruction for any type of learner that prioritizes the potential, but also like the untapped potential of who we are as humans, right? And so I feel like what's top of mind for me is like we get so bogged down of the lesson plan, what I have to teach, the standards, the IEP meetings, and I think like for me, what's top of mind is like, how do we better position our minds to think more on the regular of not just a grade, not just a number in an SIS, but like who is that person, and how do we model the best practices for life beyond that curriculum, beyond that standard.
It's interesting.
And that was
Okay.
just me like just pulling it out. Like you didn't give me think time. So
You just pulled that out of your rear right now. Yeah.
but I do believe in what I just said. I'm not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so sometimes I get lost in the verbiage that you say because California seems to be different than any
Oh
other
yeah.
state. So,
Yeah.
like, when you say internship, do you mean student teaching?
Okay. I was just on a call with someone from out of state yesterday, and I had to like, I basically had to like had a whiteboard behind me. I'm like, okay, let's graphic organize this. Okay, so
I do. I need a visual. Okay.
yeah, so my college is a bit unique and different, where when they started this work, the county office started, to my knowledge, with doing interns and not student teachers. So they've been doing the intern piece at the scale a lot longer. So when I say intern, I don't mean the student teaching pathway. We do offer that, but that's like the other side of the house. What my department looks after is like, my program, they have to do some prereq courses to get them ready to go get a job, so they earn money sooner, right, in lieu of student teaching. So they get the job, we trigger an intern credential for them to be in the classroom, right? but then they earn their credential the first 2 years of their profession through us. They're the teacher of record, right? Like,
Yeah.
in lieu of, we also have the student teaching component. We call it something different, but like, not to confuse anyone, we have the student teaching component where they're with a mentor teacher, a cooperating teacher is the verbiage we use, and they're not making money, but they're earning that credential in 1 year, and then they get hired, but then they have a preliminary credential faster, but that they're not making money that first year.
And there's obviously, like, after you get your like degree, so is this part, the internship and student teaching, is that part of the degree? Like, do they graduate after?
So you have to have a degree before you get to us, right? So you have to have a math degree, a science degree. You have to have some sort of degree. What they do with us is earning the teaching credential.
So this is like an alternative path to teaching.
It's not an alternative path, but we're providing the certificate to teach. It doesn't get looped in with a degree. Like, if you get, like, let's say you get like a math degree, with having a math degree, you can't just be like, oh, I'm going to go teach math in California. That's not how that works. That might be how it works in other states, but not here. Yeah. So they come from other universities. We don't have the build to have a program to earn a BA, right? Like, we don't have that. We are a teachers college of, like, it's the credentialing piece. You can't get your master's with us in education as well, and a doctorate. But largely speaking, like, you have to have a degree in a content, undergraduate degree. Yeah. Before you get to us. So we do, at least my side of the college, is we do the credentialing piece of that.
Okay.
And for us, it's more of like, do they want to, some folks, a lot of the folks that come to me for the intern part of it is, this is a second career for them. They don't have time to, like, or they don't have the means to not make money for that year.
They need to, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I think I am grasping it more now than I did before you started talking.
It's different.
It is different. It is really different. And yeah. Anyways, top of mind for me is, you're not going to be surprised. It's sort of been something that I've been preaching for forever and ever. UDL, but not just in the classroom, in the workplace. And this has sort of been like, so you've got these kids that have IEPs and 504s, and then they graduate, and then what? They become adults that still need those accommodations. They didn't just poof go away. Their disabilities, their struggles didn't just go away. An autistic person graduates high school and they are an autistic adult, and a person with ADHD graduates high school and they are a person with ADHD. They are an adult with ADHD. So it's like, what happens after that? What happens to them, for them after that? And going to college, you can, like, fight for some things, and you can still have some accommodations and supports in place. But then when you get your job, what then? You're just expected to what, figure it out? And a lot of places that is the case. And in some places they do provide some accommodations, but you have to, like, self-identify and fight for it. And then statistics say that those people are most likely to be let go because they are speaking up, and they're also a liability. Like, if something were to, like, you're not accommodating me the way that you said you were going to, they can sue. So to protect the company, not that they would write it down, not that they would say that, but if things were to happen, and you're going through a set of layoffs, the statistics show that like those people are most likely to be let go. And so my mission right now, my goal is to like bring awareness that the things that neurodiverse people bring awareness to that is like an issue. What I've been seeing a lot in the research is like we're like the canary in the coal mine. It starts breaking us down first, but that doesn't mean that it's only breaking us down.
Mm.
It's bad for everyone. It's hurting everyone, just not at the extreme that it is for the person with ADHD. Speaking as a person with ADHD, me. So there's a lot of research in UDL when it comes to the classroom, and where like if you provide them with the flexibility to choose, to pick the way that they are engaging with materials, the way that they are expressing what they've learned, and if you give them relevancy to it, like all of those core principles, right? There are certain things you can do in the corporate world and the adult world that also sort of removes the hurdles for everybody. So my metaphor that I've been sort of building is when you design the environment for the zebra, you're removing the hurdles for the horses too. Because zebras don't run hurdles, but horses can. It's just because they were built to run them correctly. And you run hurdles, you don't jump hurdles. Just by the way, speaking as a former track girl, so you know. Your face, Steve, you kill me. You run hurdles. And so when you design the track so that the zebra can be successful, the herd benefits. Everyone does. And the other issue that's with this track and the hurdles that are placed on it is that this track was actually designed for the average horse. The average horse doesn't exist. The average horse is no one. Absolutely no one. You go looking for the average student, you go looking for the average man, you go looking for the average woman, you will not find them. So this world was literally built for not a single one of us, especially not the zebras, but not even for the horses. And so when you start tearing down those hurdles, those obstacles that were placed there, and the average horse can do it, you start tearing them down, then all the horses and all the zebras have an easier path. And that is what is on top of mind for me, not just in education, but in the lives of the adults too. Because even a horse, completely typical human being that had a difficult night with their newborn, can benefit from having a little bit of flexibility, can benefit from having the notes from that meeting that they might have been spacing on written down with the next steps written out exactly as they need to happen. Because it just lessens the cognitive load for everybody. It just lessens the fight for everybody. And I want to fight for that herd benefit at all levels, for the kids, for the educators, for the administrators, for people education adjacent, for everyone.
A world built for no one.
That's the world.
Book title.
That's the world we live in. A world that was built for no one. Literally no one.
So interesting thing. Like in one of the courses I teach, we got to the part where I have to like teach them about like 504s, IEPs.
Yeah.
How they're the same and different, that just super baseline, like super like just introductory kind of thing. But like it opened up a can of worms of kind of what you're talking about though. Like they're like, well, what about us? Like they're like, I know we're learning about this to like support our students, right? But like, what about me? And like, and it's a fair question, right? Because like
It's a fair question.
you kind of look at like IEP, the needs will very well always be there, and who they are will always be there. But like the IEP won't,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so, and you're right. And we kind of got into the weeds of like, I'm very versed on this being out in California, but like I can only speak to California really. But like, you know, like a 504 and like the plans that exist, like that's different per university, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, Chico, that looks different than like Berkeley and like, you know,
Yeah.
UCLA. Like it just looks different. But
Mm-hmm.
you're right, like it has to be, you have, the thing that I think we need to teach our younger students, when I say younger, I mean like K through 12, is like the biggest thing they could learn how to do is like how to advocate for themselves.
Advocate for themselves.
Yeah. Which they don't always know how to do.
And that's something that I'm actually also like writing in my book, is that this has been a journey for me to learn how to advocate for myself. And there are multiple ways that you can advocate for yourself as an adult. And you don't have to identify yourself as a person with ADHD to advocate for yourself. There are just certain phrases you can say that's like, I work better when, or do you mind sending me a follow-up? Like, you don't have to say, I have ADHD and I don't remember anything you just said. Could you write that down? Like, you don't have to say that. And so there are going to be like sentence stems in my book that I'm writing that hopefully will get published. I've sent it out, but I'm still in the very early stages of it, that it is going to help not only the zebra advocate for themselves in the best way that they want to advocate for themselves, but also for the horse to be a good ally.
Yeah. I realize that we're over time, but like just one other thing that I would love to just mention about what you're getting at, Sophie, is like this concept of UDL outside of education, right? Like to me, that the workplace, unless it's a priority by a leader, the workplace is the most un-UDL experience you could have, right? Like,
true.
And then you can argue, like, even in public education, it depends on where, like what state, what country, whatever, right? Even California that has UDL, you see UDL in our TPEs, in our standards that we use to evaluate teachers, even when it being like verbiage, like we call it out. Like
it's not something that's provided for the teachers.
It's not provided for the teachers, right? Like, so I feel you're onto something here, because like, I do feel at my current job, I feel like I get a UDL treatment, if I can use that word. Maybe that's not the best way to put that, but like, I do feel accommodated. I do feel like, I feel autonomy. I feel like collaboration. I feel like, you know, it's things are accessible, right? But that's only because that's top of mind with my director, right?
It's definitely a leader. There's so much research, like if the leader doesn't believe in it, it's not going to happen. It doesn't matter if everyone on the team believes in it and they are doing it for each other. If the leader isn't implementing it, it's going to go away.
Yeah. And like, I don't want to use the word standardize, normalize. If we normalize that, culturally speaking, then we'd be onto something.
Well, and there are some processes that we can standardize, like making sure that there are notes taken and next steps like written down and shared with everybody. You can standardize that. You don't have to say, because it's for the zebras. You could just, it's good documentation. It's clear communication. Like, it's just good practice.
Yeah. I'm going to go buy a zebra shirt now. Where could I find that on the internet? Let's see.
Okay.
Anywhere. That'll be my mission this afternoon as I Christmas shop.
Find one in like this teal color, like this aqua color, let me know.
Oh, yeah. Go and do that. All right, friends, we are about to close this down. Really appreciate all of you. So things are going to be a little bit quiet here on the show for the rest of the month. We do have one guest popping in this month to talk about a book, talk about her phenomenal work, and so. But beyond that, expect more content to be coming out in January, probably through
in the 2026.
May 2026.
We will get to
yes.
episode 67 in
Oh my gosh.
2026.
We will. Yeah. For those that are stopping by, that are listening, whether it's right now in the car, whatever it is you're doing, really appreciate all of you. Continue to share that love. And you know, the show will continue to grow. Sophie and I will continue to grow on how we're providing content for you. But yeah, until next time, friends, keep your hats on, but your minds open. Bye-bye.